My next guest is one of the Republicans in charge of getting President Trump's signature tax cut proposal through Congress. He's the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, Representative Jason Smith of Missouri. Thank you so much for being here. I want to talk about the tax plan in 1 minute, but I do want to ask about the advocacy that you have had going on for a long time for Congress as the holder of the power of the purse. That is what the Constitution says. But you're also a big cheerleader for Elon Musk, who is unilaterally canceling programs and entire departments that Congress funded. Why are you so comfortable with Congress giving up that constitutionally mandated power?
It's not about Congress giving up any power. It's strictly about looking at government as a whole, making sure it's efficient, making sure that money is not going in places that illegally it shouldn't have gone to, and it's just making sure that government is working for the people. It's not about the legislative branch by any means giving up our constitutional authority. It's just putting a trust and verify method in place, and then they'll report back to Congress and let us know what they find. And they're reporting to the American people in real time of what they're finding that is a violation of current law or just really reckless spending.
Well, the spending, by and large, is something that has been approved by the United States Congress. I'm not saying that you have voted for everything, but that is definitely the way it was set up. And why take a sledgehammer instead of a scalpel if you just want to make sure that a lot of these funds, which you believe, and nobody's arguing this. I'm sure we know there's a lot of wasteful spending and maybe even fraud in the United States government. But in reality, some people are getting hurt. I just want to give you one example, Mr. Chairman. The blanket freeze on USDA funds. It's hitting some of the farmers in your state. I want you to listen to Skylar Holden. He's a cattle farmer from southern Missouri, just outside your district. He's a Trump voter. He signed a contract with USDA to partially fund improvements on his farm. And now he says he doesn't know if he's going to get the money back.
They said it could only last a week or two, could last a day, could last months, or they could not pay out at all. There's really no answers. They're trying to cut out all the wasteful spending in the government, which I'm all for. But the issue is it's a signed contract. It's a legally binding contract. They're not backing out on it. They're not paying out on it. So it puts me in a bind because I've made business decisions based on that contract.
What do you say to Skylar Holden and people in that predicament?
What I would say is Congress that the government needs to do a better job at working for the American people. Too often, it seems like the American people's working for the government, and the whole purpose of freezing and putting a hold on everything right now is to review to make sure it's working the way that Congress and the executive is supposed to implement. It's unfortunate that this is the case. I've been talking with several farmers that have been experiencing this and trying to help guide them through this process. But it's all going to work out. Right now, it's a little bit disruptive, but that's what this administration promised whenever they were coming to Washington.
So
they would be disruptive and look at ways to make the government more efficient and working for the people.
So when he is in a position where he's worried that if he doesn't get the money that was promised, that was passed by Congress, that he could be in a pretty bad situation financially. It's just, are you saying that this is going to be temporary? These have real world consequences across the board, across parties, across the whole geography of America.
You know, it's the same issue that we have constituents contact our office that they have been waiting for over a year to get a claim reviewed with the Social Security Administration. There's over 1 million cases backlogged. Why are they backlogged? Because only 9% of the Social Security Administration is showing up to work. These are problems that's affecting real constituents. When you look at taxpayers who have filed their taxes and they've been waiting for their refund way beyond the timeline that they're supposed to get it, when our office has to jump in to make sure that the IRS is working for those people and providing their refund in a timely manner, we just have to look at government as a whole. Government has its obligation to the taxpayer, and we need to make sure that we follow through appropriately, efficiently, and to the extent of the law.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of full agencies that have been told not to come to work today that are causing some havoc around the country and around the globe. I do want to talk about your main job there, which is the Tax Writing Committee. President Trump promised that in addition to extending the 2017 tax cuts, to add new tax cuts on things like overtime and tips and home health care work. Some in your party, I know you well know, like Congressman Chip Roy, they think the price tag to do that is too big. How are you going to convince them and to not only expand the 2017 tax cuts, but add additional tax cuts when you have such a narrow majority?
You know, I would like to remind my colleagues that the reason we control the House of Representatives, the Senate, and the White House is because of the policies that President Trump campaigned on. And he campaigned on permanency of the expiring 2017 Trump tax cuts, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, tax relief for seniors, tax incentives for products manufactured in the United States. These do add up. They are costly. But this is what 77 million Americans voted for whenever they gave President Trump the mandate when it came to his economic policies. President Trump was crystal clear on the campaign trail what he wanted, and this is in fact what we are trying to push in the House of Representatives. And my colleagues who disagree or have heartburn about it, I hope that they figure out what the American people has asked for.
And do you believe, even though sometimes tax cut legislation does get some Democrats on board, in this environment, Democrats are being very clear that they're not playing ball with Republicans because of Elon Musk and for other reasons. Do you believe that you're going to have to pass this along party lines?
You know, I sure hope I sure hope politicians put people before politics, and that they will deliver for the American people. Back on the campaign trail, you heard Democrats say that there should not be a tax increase on people making less than $400,000 a year. If we do not make permanent these expiring provisions of Trump's 2017 tax cuts, it will create a tax increase on 207 million taxpayers. And so that's about 2/3 of those taxpayers are people who make less than $400,000 a year. So I think Democrats will come to the table and help deliver for the American people when it means delivering tax relief and preventing a 22% tax increase on average to every American.
Big fat liar.
Ways and Means Chair Jason Smith, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.